with China. The relationship runs long for centuries. The resuscitation of this relationship only means that the present generations must start understanding each other, not only ideologically, but since the African economic space has been built on raw material production, that's our value to the West. We have not been anything more than just that the group of people are supplying raw materials. But we have learned that that kind of a model does not develop the continent. Instead, it has resulted in the migration of brains and resources, poor unemployment, and a depending economy that imports more than it is producing, hitting onto the GDP, and ultimately the country having to borrow lots of money to cater for the debts which we cannot pay. My coming here has been an eye-opener, and I wish to share the data and information with the people on mainland, but also with the Chinese community that is here. I come here as a cultural leader to help the Chinese community, those that want to invest in Africa. What are some of the cultural knowledge that they should have? A typical example where a Chinese person is given a piece of land, and the elders tell him, what you're looking for is here, but there are graves here of our ancestors, or it's a sacred forest, or there is something important that is to us. We've had to face situations where, out of ignorance or hurrying for profit, bones of our ancestors have been found and thrown into the river and grounded together with the gold and etc. People don't care. And this has actually started sparking resistance, anger, and pushback. We want the money, we want the investment, but not at this cost. So I come here to evaluate the cost of investment, balancing it off on the cultural intelligence and preservation of the environment where these minings are happening. I was with the ambassador a day or two before I came here, who categorically stated that most of the miners, particularly in Zimbabwe, in Zambia in particular, are coming there as private individuals. They are not even sanctioned by the Chinese government. Therefore, they're not responsible to anybody. And their destruction has been huge. If we don't attend to this boiling pot, we may begin to hear very soon, like we've already started seeing in Zimbabwe, in Kenya, and in Zambia, where the local communities are starting to become violent towards these investors, which is absolutely unnecessary. There must be a platform where conversations can take place and mutual beneficiary, investment and preservation must go together. We have holes and holes that are just being dug in the country, and the Chinese are doing open cast. They dig here, they find what they want, they can't find it another 2-3 meters, they leave the holes, they run to another place, they dig again. In some certain cases, even silting up rivers, like in Mazoa in particular, and Shirubi, in site also Merengwa, and where some of the activities are happening, even as far as Grue, in those mountains. I think it is this conversation that needs to start happening, so that money does not equal destruction, but development.
Understood. And in many of the contents which we've seen you put out there, and the knowledge that you're imparting to the younger generations, you seem to emphasize connecting the wisdom of the past with modern ideologies a lot. CBBS also has a wide audience, a variety of attendees. What would you suggest for this platform to pave the way forward to bring these communities closer together, where the youth can also connect with resources of experience to improve their own strategies in terms of going forward?
The danger which is within the Gen Z and the young generation is that they want fast foods in terms of brain work. We want revolution, but we don't have a strategy. We want change, but we don't have policy. We want transformation, but we don't have a formula. I have specifically drafted a book for you entitled African Questions and African Solutions, where we identify the 5, 7, 9 rather areas of development that you will need to come to grips with as young people. business, economics, sports, recreation, entertainment, health, technology, ultimately spirituality. Now, you will need to put enough data and knowledge behind these structures and say, what was, like literally a 2-column chart. What was it like in the past? What is it? 3-column. What is it in the present? What will it be like in the future? Then you can literally populate that chart with 21 questions and 21 answers. Or 27 or 28 if you make them 9 by 3, that gives you 27. So how did we govern ourselves in the past? How do we govern ourselves now? Where are we going into the future? What agriculture there? So that your development can now be aware of the past. Enough content and depth of where we are in the present, and a clear projective future look as to where are we going. We can no longer be talking about typewriters in our generation. We've already gone past that. We're into computers and etc. So when you say, how do we keep records? In the past, we used to write on stones. How do we keep records now? We're putting them on clouds and etc. And in the future, maybe chips and etc. The question is, who owns all these value chains? And when we get to the future, how can we make use to translate what was there, what is here, and what is there? And I think this is a comprehensive outlook, knowledge base, which is both three-tier understanding of past, present, and future, which can then give you a full encapsulated knowledge system, which is both historically accurate, present, contemporarily applicable, and futuristically objective, projecting into the hollows of tomorrow. And I think young people, you're more interested in changing today, and you ignore what was happening yesterday, and you seem to have a vague idea of what will this do to you tomorrow. And look at some of the civilizations that we have. They first tricked into putting concrete. Now they must go back again and start planting trees and putting shrubs on the things, but the equipment, the materials that they use might not work like this. So for me, it is this disjoint, where right now we're taking careers, even some of these careers which you guys are now doing. Unfortunately, I feel sorry for you. At the rate at which development is going right now, some of your careers will not be relevant. If you're still thinking you're going to be running a newspaper, like really? If you think you're going to be walking around taking news with a camera, like really? If you still think you're going to be opening a shop in the center of town waiting for people to come to you, people are moving into mobile, electronically based economy. And I think it is that understanding of what are the values, ethics of our past, what are the changes and transformations that are happening in the present, and as we move forward, how we're going to project and place ourselves into an active digital economy and still be relevant and be profitable.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And just as a conclusion, could you please share your wishes for CBBS?
CBBS has done a very good start. I wish the next one can, at the end of this conference, take a team that goes into Africa and identify the problems that are in Africa, speaking to the various governments on the continent without necessarily saying much, and come here and find solution-based people, industries, factories, and private, public sectors who can offer those solutions. I wish the next year we can actually have a problem and solution conference where we came to your village, you have poor water there. Here are the solutions for water. We came to your village, there's no electricity. Here are the suppliers of generated electricity and solar panels and what and what. We came to your village, there's poor transportation. Here's the equipment that can actually reduce your distance and etc. We came here, we discovered, if you understand what I'm trying to say, the value and the cost of production of the house is at so much. We have technology that is cheaper than this. We notice that the cities are dirty and they what use equipment that can reduce that and create those businesses. Then the young men and business people who want to start buying these solutions and moving to the continent. To me, that's where CBS should be actually ultimately, where you're now not just a conference folder, projector-based conference where someone takes a pointer and they're putting on the wall. The problem is somewhere here, and they're pointing on a chart on the wall. The problem is not on the wall. The problem are real people. Problems are real people who are being affected. And I think my wish for this conference is that it can slightly, if not expediently, start moving from how do we connect problems and solutions.
in that regard, this community that is based here will play a very important role.
You are all millionaires who don't know it. The information and knowledge that you have of where what can be found, if that can be put in the hands of the correct government and private sectors in the country, you may not even need to come there. You may just need to know the city of Harare right now is peddling with rubble removal, for example, and making plastics and making paving out of them, or creating products with the raw material or refuse that is there. So get in touch with someone who is there who can actually say, let's get business done. If it is hard forms for house construction, all these nice videos we see about China, they're coming up with those innovative, I mean, I'm interested even in these remote controlled toilets that I find here. Imagine putting all this on our airports and on our public services, government buildings that are dirty, toilets are not being flushed properly. Why would we not get that solution and place it where people can access it and solve problems? So to me, technology is not just technology of the clouds. Technology is what problem are you solving? And the problem you are solving, is it a priority problem? So real problems that we are looking at is if it is clothing, if it is food, if it is pharmaceuticals, if it is accommodation, if it is poor service delivery, infrastructure development, if it is sicknesses, if it is disease. The question is, how do we make our technologies relevant to the present problems? Even small problems such as just fixing potholes. Just potholes. We hear it on Facebook everywhere. We have lots of potholes. Can we find a solution for fixing potholes? What technologies can we buy, acquire, develop, and go back to Africa and literally put it on the ground and get the problem solved? So our problem right now is not going to the moon. We don't care about Elon Musk trying to go to Mars and then moving people there. That's not the priority right now. The priority is people sleeping on hungry stomachs and mosquitoes that are harassing us, and flooded rivers, children drowning in rivers, dirty waters, cyanide. And some of it has been caused by some of the Chinese companies that have allowed cyanide from their plants to spill into the rivers. From the rivers, it has now gone into the dams, and the dams are pumping water into the city. People are dying of cyanide. As I can give you an example right now of Chivero Dam, which is supplying Harare. It is a contaminated dam with cyanide and sewage and everything else. The question is, we've created a problem. Can we find a solution of fixing that problem as an expedient problem? Then I need to give you the number of the mayor immediately and say we have a solution around getting this water clean so that people can live. If more than 2, 3, 4 million people that are depending on that. So to me, that is real development. And what we are saying has figures and people that are on the streets that can confirm it. In Kitwe, with the whole plant spilled water into the rivers of Kafue. We're just waiting for the disasters to happen around the Kafue Valley. And as that cyanide is beginning to move further down, of course the government says, no, it's spilled in, but the water is within acceptable drinkable standards. You tell me that the water is cyanide, it's unacceptable, inacceptable. You're saying the results are not immediate. But in the long term, you have already caused a pollution, and pollution will have a detrimental impact on that environment. Look at the whole ecology of life. So we're not here to be dealing with mild or drastic or manageable or unmanageable poison consumption of the African. That's not right. That's not right. So we have development that is happening, but development is coming with problems. Your involvement is how do you begin to walk behind this huge sage of development with solutions and fixing some of the problems so that the relationships can remain as amicable and user-friendly. We wish Gonzo can adopt some of the cities in Africa and duplicate hospitals, share skills, materials, labor. We must marry from here, they must marry from there. We must become one big nation that is going towards common interest.
I hope that the people listening to this will not only think about the suggestions you have given us, but will be proactive in implementing that. And thank you so much, Mr. Maponga.
And for Gonzo, what I can actually suggest, we need a direct flight from here into Central or Southern Africa to increase tourism. It will be interesting to see you living in such jungle of concrete, to fly into a place where there is so much space of plants and animals. And for me to come here to go through Ethiopia and do connecting flights, but I think that if we can have a nice, beautiful, direct flight between here and Gonzo and Zimbabwe or Zambia or any country of your choice and allow tourism both in and out of these regions. It would be very beneficial to all parties.
Kaliboa hahulun tate kimutu kabatu.
How ke ole o hawanes. How be joa. Hozo.
Maita bahasa.
Tinotenda.
Tinotenda. Siyabonga kakhulu.